You were taught, though, that morality was a guide. I'll show you that morality is a leash. By the end of the video, you'll shed that leash and turn it into something much more powerful. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. No one tells you this when you're young. You're told honesty builds trust and fairness earns respect. You're told that if you do the right thing long enough, life will reward you. In a perfect world, that would be enough. This is not a perfect world, and the people who benefit from you believing that story know it. At some point, you noticed something that felt wrong. It wasn't loud at first. It was subtle. The people who preached what's right often gained the most when you agreed with them. They praised you when you complied. They punished you when you didn't. The moment you hesitated, the moment you questioned, the moment you stopped doing what they wanted, the labels came out. You were no longer good. You were selfish, difficult, unfair, ungrateful. Suddenly your character was on trial, not because you did something evil, but because you stopped being useful. That wasn't an accident. Think about how this plays out in real life. Your boss asks you to stay late again. No warning, no extra pay. When you hesitate, they don't argue about workload. They don't justify it logically. They say, everyone else is staying. I thought you were a team player. After everything this company has done for you, this is how you act. Notice what just happened. They didn't ask. They applied moral pressure. They framed obedience as goodness and refusal as selfishness. And before you even respond, your body tightens. You feel guilty. You start explaining. You start proving you're not lazy, not ungrateful, not difficult. And in that moment, the decision is already made. You stay late, not because it's right, but because guilt moved faster than thought. That is how obedience is extracted without force. And Plato knew it. Socrates taught us something dangerous. He asked one question that cracked the universe open. He asked, is that always good? What if telling the truth hurts someone? What if paying a debt causes harm? What if following a rule makes things worse? That question exposes something people hate to admit. Moral rules are often used without thinking about who they serve. That's the first crack in the illusion. Your father taught you rules. Plato teaches you to ask who wins when those rules are enforced. Some will say being a good person means helping your friends and hurting your enemies. It sounds loyal. It sounds strong. It feels right emotionally. You're missing something simple. You can be wrong about who is good and who is bad. You can trust the wrong people. You can hate the wrong people. Loyalty can blind you. So you end up helping someone who harms you and punishing someone who didn't deserve it, all while telling yourself you're being righteous. That is how moral pressure works. It doesn't need to be accurate. It only needs to feel correct. Here is the key fact. You were never taught. Moral language is often used to force obedience, not to guide truth. Once you see it everywhere. You'll hear phrases like, a good person would do this. You're not being fair. After everything I've done for you. Those phrases are not neutral. They are tools. They are built to trigger guilt, fear, and shame. They are meant to make you move fast before you think. And most of the time, they benefit the person saying them. Moral pressure works best when it feels urgent, when it makes you uncomfortable enough to act on instinct. Plato doesn't tell you to abandon morality. Some might say, a good person is basically serving the powerful. He says rulers make the rules to protect themselves. And when you obey, they call you moral. When you resist, they call you wrong. This is one of the darkest moments in Plato's work, not because it's evil, but because it's familiar. You see it at work, in families, in schools, in institutions, in politics. The same action is praised or punished, depending on who it helps. Rules are called right, but enforced only when convenient. Plato doesn't agree with this. He is warning you. If you don't understand how moral language is used, your goodness becomes leverage for other people. No, that is not the point. But he keeps the insight. Moral language can be used as a weapon. Here is the lesson. Moral accusations control you when you react emotionally instead of thinking clearly. When someone calls you selfish, unfair, or ungrateful, your instinct is to defend yourself, to explain, to prove you are good. But defense is surrender. Defense accepts their frame. Defense puts you on trial inside of the courtroom they built. Instead, you pause. You like this video, so the algorithm can spread Plato's message to others who need to stop explaining themselves. You ask one quiet question that changes everything. Who gains if I comply? That question restores your balance. Your parents probably taught you that if someone misunderstands you, you should clarify. Be reasonable. Explain your side. Show your intent. Plato would tell you something colder and more accurate. Explaining yourself to someone who benefits from misunderstanding you is a trap. Moral pressure works best when you rush to fix the discomfort. Discomfort is the lever. Delay breaks that lever. That is why Socrates never rushes. At times he is insulted. At times he is mocked. Citizens try to publicly shame him into submission. Socrates doesn't flare up. He doesn't get defensive. He doesn't try to prove he's good. He stays calm. He asks questions. He controls the narrative. He slows the pace. And as he slows the pace, the accusations start to fall apart. That isn't weakness. That is discipline. This is a critical lesson you were never taught, because those who taught you lived in a simpler moral world. Not every accusation deserves a response. Not every demand disguised as right deserves obedience. Sometimes silence is the ethical move. Sometimes delay is the moral move. Sometimes refusing the frame is the cleanest thing you can do. People who use moral pressure need speed. They need your guilt. They need your fear of looking bad. The moment you stop reacting, the weapon loses power. This is what it means to become un-guiltable without becoming cruel. You don't attack. You don't feel ashamed. You don't manipulate. You simply stop volunteering your obedience. Here is what Plato understood that most people miss. The person who controls the moral frame controls the outcome. That's why the fools in his stories become so frustrated. They see that justice gets defined by whoever has power. But their mistake is thinking that makes morality meaningless. There's a sharper insight here if you start to pay attention. If you let other people define what good means for you, you lose before the conversation even begins. Your teachers taught you to accept definitions. Plato teaches you to examine them. When someone says, "You're selfish," they're not just describing you. They're trying to place an obligation onto you. That word not only judges behavior, it demands correction. It creates a debt. It implies you owe them your time, your money, your energy, your compliance. And if you don't pay, you're a bad person. That is the move. Plato teaches you to see the move before you respond to it. This is why speed matters. Moral attacks work best when you accept the premise before you test it. The moment someone says the word selfish, your body wants to prove you are not. You panic to show generosity. You feel a deep need to explain. But the second you do this, you've accepted their frame and lost yours. You've stepped right into their web, right where they want you. Socrates never defends. He clarifies. That difference matters. When others try to shame him, Socrates doesn't say, No, I'm sincere. He doesn't explain his motives. He doesn't argue about his character. If you take nothing else from any of my teachings, this is the most powerful lesson. Socrates, instead of bending the knee to guilt, he simply asks one diabolically paralyzing question. Calmly, he asks, "What do you mean?" He makes his accuser defend their terms, defend their territory. He makes the accuser work. He slows the exchange until the heat turns into emptiness. Because moral pressure only works when you do the work. It depends on your guilt, your fear, your need to be seen as good. The moment you stop performing goodness, the accusation collapses. Your father taught you that being good is proven by action. Plato teaches you that being good is protected by boundaries. This is the trap. The more you prove, the more proof is demanded. The more you defend, the more you get accused, because people who weaponize morality don't want proof. They want compliance, and proof is just another form of obedience. Refuse this game. Don't list your sacrifices. Don't talk about how hard you have tried. Stop begging to be understood. Start asking the questions that expose the hollowness of the pressure itself. That is the discipline. When someone says, "You're not being fair," your instinct is to explain why you are. Resist the temptation to speak and pause to ask, fair by what standard? Fair to whom? Compared to what alternative? Think it, don't say it. Stop letting the word fair function like a weapon, because fair is never neutral. It's about distribution. It's about who gets what. And when someone throws the word fair at you, they are claiming their definition should control your behavior. I ask you, why should it? Not with anger, not with cruelty, with clarity. Why does their definition override yours? Why does their need outrank your limits? What makes their claim on your time and energy more legitimate than your judgment of what you can give? This is the shift. You stop treating moral claims like automatic orders. You start treating them like proposals that must be tested. I'm teaching you this because you need it. Those who taught you didn't. They trusted the language. They lived in a world where social rules were more stable, where moral talk was less strategic, where compliance was rewarded more often. You don't live in that world. You live in a world where moral language is used for control, where accusations of selfishness, ingratitude, and unfairness are thrown like knives, where the loudest claims of virtue serve to hide the deepest exploitation. Plato saw this long ago. He saw that moral language could be hijacked. He saw it could be used to control instead of used to guide those seeking the truth. And he gave you the tools to resist it without turning into a bitter soul. The tool is discernment. The method is delay. The result is immunity. And Plato makes one more thing clear. You do not protect yourself by becoming harmful. You must push back hard on the idea that harming others makes you better. Don't be cruel. Don't be harsh. Injuring people damages your character. That matters. Plato's work is not giving you permission to hurt people. He is giving you permission to stop letting people hurt you with moral talk. There is the difference. Your father taught you to endure. I'm teaching you to evaluate. Being a good person is not submitting to every moral claim. It's self-control. It's keeping your mind in charge instead of letting guilt and fear steer the wheel. When you react emotionally to moral pressure, you aren't being virtuous. You're being controlled. The answer is not rebellion. It is self-rule. Build the strength to stop and keep asking calm questions. Don't scream. Don't insult. Don't grandstand. The next time you sense guilt being used as a weapon to control you, stand and ask, What do you mean? Learn to force clarity. Clarity kills manipulation. When someone says, "That's unfair," ask yourself, unfair to who? By what rule? Compared to what? The goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to remove the emotional hook before it sinks in. This is the advantage. You stop reacting. You stop rushing. You stop apologizing for having a spine. You give yourself time to think, and time exposes everything. But consider this, people who are truly moral can handle questions. People who use morality as a tool can't. That's why you'll see others get furious. Power fades when the room slows down. You've seen this story. The louder someone gets when questioned, the weaker their position becomes in the room. Fascinating, isn't it? Living platonically means to live without becoming hard. You don't need to abandon morals. You need to stop outsourcing your judgment. Your parents taught you what was right. Plato teaches you when to comply. There's a difference between being a good person and being a useful person. I want you to be good. They want you to be useful. The danger is confusing the two. Once you understand this, your behavior changes. You move differently. You stop over-explaining. You stop begging to be understood. You stop rushing to prove you're good. You become consistent instead of performative. And now things change. That's why people say you've become colder. What they mean but can't seem to find the right words is you're harder to pressure, harder to guilt, harder to control. Good. This is maturity. Moral language is powerful. Used well, it guides life. Used badly, it becomes a chain. Your job is not to reject morality. Your job is to recognize when it's being used to drag you. Once you change, guilt stops running your life. Pressure stops steering you. You move slower. You choose on purpose. You stop being easy to exploit. That is not manipulation. That is immunity. This is one of Plato's darkest, most practical lessons in the Republic. Not how to dominate others, but how to stop being dominated by moral pressure disguised as goodness.